Hi, today we will discuss an important issue of micro or managerial economics, that is, economic modeling. So, economic models are simplified representation of reality used to understand and predict economic behavior. So, they help in analyzing, policies, market trends, and economic phenomena. So, it's a simplified framework to illustrate the complex economic process which helps to explain and predict economic outcomes. Basically, why we need the models? We need the models because of some specific purpose. First of all, prediction. You know, what is prediction? If we want to have the forecast of economic variable, let's suppose if we want to have some, prediction or forecast of economic variable, then we need to have the economic models. And then explanation. If we want to understand economic behavior of an economic phenomenon or of a particular variable which is existent in the real life scenario, which we are trying to convert into modular form, then we need to have the models. And then policy implementation. So if we want to have a policy making or policy implementation, to access this policy impacts before implementation, we need to have the models. So these are the reasons why we need to have the economic models. Now, what are the different types of economic models? Basically, there are four different types of economic models. So, first of all, the visual models. What is visual models? Visual models are simply pictures of an abstract economy, graphs, lines, curves that tell an economic story or economic phenomenon. Basically, the shapes, charts, or any kinds of lines or in the graphs paper which we use to represent an economic phenomenon or some relationship among or between different variables by representing diagrams, charts. So these are the visual representations of an economic phenomenon. So this is what is said as visual models. So we are considering here the relationship of two variables. In the vertical axis, we are considering the growth rate in percentage. Again, in the horizontal axis, we have considered the timeline. So the timeline is in between, 2020 to 2024. In during this time period, that is in between 2020 and 2024, we have counted the growth rates at different points of time. That means the growth rates ranging in between 2.6%, that is this one, to this one, 2.6% to 3.8% at different points of time during this period. That means over the period of 2020 to 24. This is what is said as, it's a relationship shown with a yellow colored line here. So this is a graphical representation or visual model of two variables. So this is an abstract idea of an, showing relationship between two variables. This is what is said as economic model or visual economic model. The second type of economic model is mathematical model. So these models are system of simultaneous equations or system of equations with an equal or greater number of economic variables. For example, let's consider the demand function and supply function. We normally know the demand function is a downward sloping line. For this, let's consider the function here. So this is your intercept. So here the demand function is shown as A minus BP. So A is here intercept, and since there is a negative or inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, that's why demand curve is a downward sloping one. So this is the demand curve, which is downward sloping one. And here, since the curve is a downward sloping one, that is why its slope is shown by the, by here, the constant b, and it is negative. That means it's showing a downward sloping demand curve. Again, we do have the supply function, and here we are getting the supply function as intercept being negative, but the slope is positive. This is something like the supply function. So it's an upward sloping function which is showing a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied in the market. So here again you see this is negative, minus minus here, intercept is negative, and again the curve is upward sloping, that's why the slope is positive, right? And in equilibrium we know quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. Now putting the values or demand function, this is, and the supply function, this one, if we try to find out or try to analyze in equilibrium what happens, we will get the results solving in favor of price or P. We will get the results as A plus C by B plus D. This can be shown by very simple mathematical calculation. Here A minus BP, you see here I'm solving it very quickly, and minus C plus dP here. And if you solve it in favor of P, you will get minus BP equals, sorry, minus BP plus minus dP, in fact minus dP, again here minus A minus C, take a minus as common, B, sorry, P, B plus D here, and here minus common, A plus C, again minus cancels out. Now we will get, solving in favor of P, we'll be getting here A plus C by B plus D. So this is the equilibrium price. Now again, once we have the mathematical model, or if we are showing something in mathematical equations, we can again convert into visual models. Here for your help, I'm citing one example, the demand function, which is a downward sloping one, and again the supply function, an upward sloping one. Both these curves are intersecting at a particular point. Let's consider this is the equilibrium point E, and at this point your equilibrium, so this side you'll be getting the price, quantity demanded and supplied, QD equals QS, and here price, since price is considered here, this is your equilibrium price. So this mathematical model is converted into visual model. So mathematical, any kinds of mathematical model can be converted or can be transported or transferred to the visual models by using graphs and diagrams. The third one is empirical model. Now what is empirical model? This is nothing, simply a mathematical model designed to be used with data. So with an empirical model, data is gathered for the variables using accepted statistical techniques, and data used to provide estimates of the model values. So this is nothing, simply the mathematical model where the data are handled and statistical tools and techniques are used to analyze the economic phenomenon. So this is how we can say we can convert the economic data into mathematical form or mathematical analysis into empirical form. And the fourth one is simulation model. Simulation models, which must be used with computers, embody the very best features of mathematical models without requiring that the user's proficient in mathematics. So these models are fundamentally mathematical, but mathematical complexity is transparent to the users. So users who do not have sufficient mathematical knowledge can even find out the results of an economic phenomenon by using simulation model. If we show a real world phenomenon or real life scenario with the help of simulation model, so this is something like, I'm trying to bring a framework here. Let's take the real world problem here. First you have to convert into conceptual model. Again, conceptual model can be validated as the real world problem, and solution is to be prescribed and understanding is to be done, and then by using the coding, verification, and validation, the model can be converted to computer model or simulation model. See, we have four different types of model. These four different types of model can again be said as there are three different types of model. Why? Because basic, visual and mathematical model sometimes, can be expressed as theoretical models because these are all theoretical economic phenomena which are converted either into visual forms or into mathematical forms. That is why both of them can be, summed up into the theoretical models and an empirical model and simulation model. In fact, we can use, simulation. We can use computers to define to find out the results of the simulation models, and in that sense, we can say the computer and computational model. So, in conclusion, if we say about the economic models, so economic models are the simplification of complex system or complex real life scenario into a simplified manner to help us make informed about the decisions. And with visuals, graphs, and animations, we can better understand economic relationship by using economic models. So these are the significance of economic models. That's all for now. Thanks.